Hi, I'm Julian. I'm going to be talking about medical assistance in death, which is, to put it simply, medical suicide. I'm going to be talking about if it should be accessible at all, and if it should be even more accessible or have tighter restrictions. I should clarify it's not the same as pulling the plug. It has to come from a consenting patient who is terminally ill and who is mentally well. At least that's how it is for most states and most countries. It's a little bit different for every place, but that's the most common conditions. In 1994, the state of Oregon passed the Death with Dignity Act, which pretty much allowed it, and 32 years later, it's still only allowed in 13 different states. The possible pros of MAID, which is short for medical assistance in death, is to obviously reduce the suffering of the terminally ill, like cancer patients or people who are suffering from heart conditions or organ failure or stuff like that. It can also provide a predictable time of death. A lot of the issues we have are people who are dying while their families are away, and that can cause a lot of trouble. Making it more accessible can allow people with severe depression, Alzheimer's, or severe eating disorders can access it. But some of the cons are you really don't want to normalize suicide or make it seem like it's not a big deal. It's always going to be the largest decision of your life, possibly. Some other cons are people who can be saved, like people who are not in the final stages of depression or cancer. You really don't want them to be lumped in with people who are eligible for this kind of stuff. Another con is it's sort of a misuse of medical resources. People think that we should focus all of our resources into saving and treating the sick instead of just cutting it short and getting it over with. It's also very it also contradicts the Hippocratic Oath. Basically, a physician has to sign or make an oath to do no harm. This obviously counteracts that. With the current restrictions, people who are not mentally well cannot be eligible for this kind of stuff. So a man who has lived with 15 years of severe depression, or a person who is suffering from memory loss, or people who are just not feeling well cannot access this stuff. And only a few countries allow this. There's obviously a lot of countries that are very religious and they don't allow this sort of stuff because they value life and they don't really, and they think that death should come natural. I think Catholics are an example of that, except they don't really value human life above all. They're not going to keep a sick person alive just to mark time. That's it.
Thoughts, comments, questions for Julian?
Julian, great presentation. So you say medical assistance like suicides for those who are terminally ill. Do you think that this could extend to people who just say it's not really about being sick, it's just people who want to commit suicide? In the US specifically, because other countries that'd be a little bit more difficult. Do you think that should be a thing or only for the terminally ill?
I think it should only be for people who are terminally ill, but I can kind of see an argument for people who are severely struggling with mental health and just don't see a way out, but that's also a really risky play, so I'm not too sure.
I mean, I know you talked about only for people who aren't depressed or anything, but how can you tell if somebody's truly mentally well? How could they be so sure that it's not really somebody who is just trying to kill themselves?
They do take some psychiatric tests, and a physician does have to confirm confirm that a person is dying. I should have talked about this. they need to have like a life expectancy of 12 to 16 months.
Okay, yeah.
I have two.
Hmm?
So the first one you said it should only, or there are some that say it should only be for those who are terminally ill.
Mhm.
Don't we have things like that, like DNRs?
You know.
Do not resuscitate. Like, some get to choose, don't try to save me. Let me go.
Gosh, I'll just talk about this. This is so medical assistance to death is pretty much human euthanization or
Mhm.
taking a prescription to peacefully end your life. That's different from taking away the cure.
Like what they do on death row.
Yeah.
But that's unconsensual, of course. What side are you on?
I think it should be legal, but I don't think it should be more accessible or tightened. I think the current restrictions are strict and they need to be strict.
But I think like anything in medicine, it's easy to get those lines blurred. You go from
Yeah.
terminally ill, and then terminal illness could be those who are in the final stages of depression, that's terminal. Usually terminal by your own hand. I don't think it makes it any more ethical to do it medically. It's all a matter of ethics.
It's always going to be a morally gray area in terms of healthcare.
I think it's morally black, but that's also my opinion.
So medical equipment and medical help cost a lot in the US. A lot of people can afford it, a lot of people's insurance can't really keep up with all of those medicines, all of the things that they need. Do you think it's fair for them to keep on like wanting to live if like, you know, they've made the decision of not wanting to any longer? With also like, you know, looking at their looking at their finance ideals, they want to also, you know, try to put down that burden. Do you think they deserve to keep on living with the idea and like, you know, they thought about it financially and physically too? You think that their family deserves that burden financially with them or no?
So you're asking, do you think financial situations affect the decisions?
No, I'm saying that do you think or do you believe that the families that like, you know, have to keep paying that bill, like do you think they deserve that burden financially?
I mean-
If the person has already made their decision to die. Just like let them stay.
Cause who are they gonna charge?
I mean, I would assume the spouse.
The spouse.
Yeah.
Spouse didn't wanna die.
No.
Yeah, and like the spouse doesn't want to keep paying like thousands and thousands if the decision was already made.
That's what I meant earlier. I think that's what I was pertaining to. Like, it's all a matter of ethics. And then there's the issue of, from a religious lens or not, essentially somebody's playing God.
Yeah.
Whether or not you believe somebody's playing God or whatever all-knowing being you believe in to decide whether or not who lives and dies, somebody's playing it, and you said the Hippocratic Oath, it contradicts it.
Mhm.
It splits it in two entirely.
Last one here.
I'm so
It's a great
sorry.
conversation.
Wouldn't you argue that, medically assisted death would be following through on the Hippocratic Oath?
I mean,
I mean, maybe I just don't have a thorough enough understanding of what it entails, but like, it sounds like that there are instances where medically assisted death would be in, like, would, if anything, be like following it more,
And
Like the
that's
make
why-
sure nobody's in pain thing?
yeah.
Yeah.
Cause
And
like,
that's
think
why
about, we
it is
do it to
legal in a lot of
animals all the
states,
time.
different restrictions.
I mean, I guess it is sort of like interpretation of do no harm. Is do no harm mean not killing or do not extend suffering?
Yeah.
So, I guess, I don't know. It's not really a strict law. It's just more of what do you think is best for the patient?
We put animals down so they don't have to endure any more suffering, because it's clear they're not going to get better. I don't see why we would do the same for human loved ones.
It's hard to gauge whether or not people will get better though. Or,
Either,
yeah.
either way. It's a fascinating discussion though. Thank you.